Hello my sewing loves, welcome to another tutorial video. Today I'll be taking you through essential sewing formulas and calculations that every beginner tailor must know. If you're a beginner who is still struggling with sewing calculations for your sewing project, this video is for you. Also, some of these sewing formulas and maths would also come in handy when you have incomplete measurements, and that is why I called it the sewing formula magic. Now, this is a practical class, so get your pattern paper, get your marker, and get your calculator, and let's get started. We'll be starting with the neck width measurement, and then normally majority of tailors or fashion designer use a standard of 3 for people that are average size, and then 3.5 neck width for those that are of a bigger size. So I've always gotten questions around how do I calculate my own standard neck width. Alright, so pay attention. There are two methods. The first method is to measure your neck circumference. There's a standard way to measure your neck circumference. So you measure your neck circumference and you divide by 5. That's how to calculate your neck width. Or you use your bust circumference. And then to use the bust circumference method is your bust circumference divided by 12. Alright, so for me, my bust circumference is 33. 33 divided by 12 is, so for me, my bust circumference is 33. 33 divided by 12 is 2.75. So for a standard neckline, 2.75 will work for me, or I approximate to 3 inches. I usually use 3 inches. Okay, so let me show you how to impute this on your basic bodice pattern. So the standard neck depth for the back is usually 1 inch, and for the front is usually 3 inches. Remember, I said standard neckline. There are different kind of neckline, and I already have a detailed tutorial on how to draft and cut your trendy necklines. But for this tutorial, I'm talking about the standard neckline. So I'll now go on to impute my neck width of 3 inches. So if from your calculation you have 3.5 inches, this is where you put your 3.5 inches. Then I'll place my pattern master and I'll join the points together for both the front neckline and the back neckline, just as you see me do. So now the next measurement we'll be working on is the shoulder measurement. All right, remember that we have said it's best to take this measurement on your client or on yourself, but this calculation is magic when you don't have the data. So to calculate your shoulder measurement is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. Okay, so for me, my bust circumference is 33. So I have 33 divided by 6 plus 1.5. So I have 5.5 plus 1.5. So that gives me a total of 7 inches. So my shoulder is 7 inches on fold. And this works perfectly for me because when I measure myself, my shoulder is 14. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So go ahead and do your own calculation. Okay, so if at all there's going to be any difference, it's going to be by 0.25 or 0.5. Which is why I call these formulas magic, because think about it, you not having access to a measurement or you forgetting to take a measurement, but there's a calculation that can give you this much accuracy. Is that not magic? All right, let me show you how to impute this on your pattern paper. So you go on to impute your measurement. Mine is 7. You got to impute it just as you see me do, and then from that point where you've marked your measurement, you come down by 1 inch because our shoulder is not straight, and then you go on to join the points together just as you see me do. So now let's work on the calculation of your armhole depth. So the armhole depth can also be called the chest line, and the formula is similar to that of the shoulder. So it is also your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. Alright, so my bust circumference is 33 divided by 6 plus 1.5, and that is 5.5 plus 1.5, and together I have 7 inches. So if your bust circumference is 36, so that will be 36 divided by 6 plus 1.5, and that will give me 7.5 inches as the armhole depth. So let me show you how to impute this on the pattern paper. So whatever you get from your calculation, you measure it from after your shoulder slant. All right. So for me, I'm doing 7 inches. So if it's 7.5 that you get, you also mark that where you see me mark. All right. So drawing an horizontal line on that point is my chest line. But before I do that, I want to draw my armhole curve. So I'll impute whatsoever I have on my shoulder. I will impute it on that point I marked down there, so that I can have a straight line. Okay, so I'm just confirming that I have my shoulder measurement on that point, after which I'll join the points together to form a straight line. So just watch me closely, and then I'll go ahead to mark my chest line, which is also called my armhole depth. Okay, so I'm going on to label it chest line. So let's go on to the next calculation, and this is the bust point. So the bust point is also called the shoulder to nipple. So to calculate your bust point is your bust circumference divided by 4 plus 1. So for me, my bust circumference is 33. 33 divided by 4 plus 1. So 33 divided by 4 is 8.25. So 8.25 plus 1 is 9.25. Alright. If I take this measurement on my body, my bust point is 9.5. But with the calculation, I get 9.25. So you can see how helpful the sewing formula is. Okay, so go ahead to take your own measurement and then compare what you have when you measure on your body and when you make use of the formula. So let me show you how to impute this on your pattern paper. So from your shoulder line, you go ahead to mark your 9.5 or whatever you have. All right, mark it and then you join the points together to form a straight line, and that is your bust point. All right, so the next measurement we'll be working on is the shoulder to underbust. All right, the shoulder to underbust. You can also call it your underbust point. All right, so all you need is your shoulder to nipple measurement. Remember that your shoulder to nipple is also called your bust point. All right, so my shoulder to nipple or my bust point is 9.5 inches. So to get your shoulder to underbust is just your bust point plus 3 or 4 inches. All right, your bust point plus 3 or 4 inches. So how do you determine when to add 3 or 4 inches? It is dependent on your bust circumference. So once your bust circumference is 34 inches and below, you add 3 inches to your bust point so that you can get your shoulder to underbust. So if your bust circumference is between 35 inches and 39 inches, then you should add 3.5 to your bust point to get your shoulder to underbust. And if your bust circumference is 40 and above, you add 4 inches to your bust point measurement. So for me, my bust circumference is 33 inches. So I'll go ahead to add 3 inches to my shoulder to nipple measurement, which is 9.5, and then I get my 12.5 inches. So if your bust circumference is 40, it means you're adding 4 inches to yours. So you add 4 inches to your bust point measurement, and I'm using bust point of 10. So 10 plus 4, that will be 14 inches. So let me show you how to impute this on your pattern paper. I'll go on to mark my shoulder to underbust measurement of 12.5, and then I'll join the points together to form a straight line. After which I'll label it my underbust. Alright, so let's go on to the next one, which is the waist point. Waist point is also called your shoulder to waist. And how do you calculate your shoulder to waist? It's just by adding 3 inches to your shoulder to underbust. Alright, so if your shoulder to underbust is 13, you add 3 inches, and that will bring it to 16 inches as your waist point. If you have gotten to this point, please give this video a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. You know I love feedback. I love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and please share this video to every beginner fashion designer that you know, or every tailor that you know, because these formulas are lifesavers. Okay, so let's go ahead to talk about our waist to hip measurement. The standard is usually 8 to 9 inches. So 8 inches work for people of average height. But if they are tall in height, then you can go ahead to use 9 inches. So let's go on to impute this on our pattern paper. So from my underbust, I'll go ahead to measure 3 inches so that I can have my waist point. All right, I'll go on to join the points together and then label it. Alright, so to impute our waist to hip, so from my waistline, I'll go ahead to mark 9 inches because I'm tall. This pattern paper is not enough, so I'm just demonstrating, okay? So from my waist, I'll go ahead to take my 9 inches so that I can have my hip point. So the next formula we'll be working on is the bust span measurement, which is a very important measurement in sewing. The bust span is also called the nipple to nipple. So what happens if you forget to take your nipple to nipple measurement, whether for yourself or your client? What to do is to take your bust circumference measurement, divide it by 8, and then subtract 1 from it. So my bust circumference is 33. 33 divided by 8 minus 1 is 3.125. So from the calculation, using the formula, I have 3.125 as my bust span measurement. But when I take this measurement on my body, I have 3.5 inches on fold. And this is why I say this is a practical class, alright, so that you can use your own measurement as example. Go ahead to use the formula and then compare it when you measure it on your body, alright, and see how good this formula is. These formulas, they are actually good alternatives. Instead of just guessing and guessing when you have incomplete measurement, it actually gives you something reliable that you can work with. So let's impute it on our pattern paper. So on my bust point, my underbust, and my waistline, I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple measurement. So I'll be marking 3.125 inches, which I got from the formula method. If you do not know how to mark your 3.125 inches on your measuring tape, then you can click on this link up here where I show you a detailed tutorial on how to read a measuring tape. The bust span measurement is very important for our darts and then for our bustiers. So the next formula I'll be working on now is the underbust tightening. So the formula is your bust circumference minus your underbust circumference divided by 2. So for me, my bust circumference is 33 and my underbust circumference is 29. 33 minus 29 is 4 and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we use this underbust tightening in bustiers. So let's impute this on our pattern paper. So what you do is you divide the 2 inches you got from your underbust tightening formula into 2, and you put the smaller part close to the midline and you put the larger part on the other side. So for me, I'll divide my 2 inches into 2 and I'll put half of an inch close to the center front, close to the midline, and I'll put 1.5 inches on the other side. You can choose to put 0.75 inches close to the midline, and then you go ahead to put 1.25 on the other side. Just make sure that it's the smaller part that is put close to the midline. So and then you just watch me as I join the points together with my curve, and you then go ahead to put the same measurement you kept on your underbust line. You go ahead to put that on your waistline, and then you join the points together straight with your pattern master. So this is basically how to draft your bustiers. And if you want to make a shoulder dart bustier, you just go ahead to divide what you have on your shoulder by 2. You mark the middle and then you join the points together to the bust point. And that's how you draft your shoulder dart bustier. And if you want to make a princess armhole bustier, just go ahead to draft your armhole curve first, which I'm doing. If you have learned anything from this video, let me tell you how you can support the channel. Please like the video, please leave a comment. Please share this video on your social media status so that other fashion designers can see this. Please watch the ads. That's how you can support me and support the channel. Thank you so much. Alright, so after drafting your armhole, you then go ahead to take the center, the middle of your armhole. And when you get the middle point, mark it and then use your pattern master to join it back to the bust point. Alright, and this is how to draft your princess dart. So for my beginners, don't be confused, don't worry, we'll go in depth into bustier patterns later. So if your bust circumference is 40 and your underbust is 34, you'll have 6/2 and then you have 3 for your underbust tightening. So you can divide it and put 0.75 on the part close to the center front, and then you put 2.25 on the other side, or you can put 1 inch on the area close to the center and then you put 2 inches on the other side. So the next calculation I'll be showing you is how to calculate your off-shoulder neckline width. And the calculation is simple. It's just your bust span plus 1. So if your bust span is 3.5 on fold, you add 1 to it and then you have 4.5 as your off-shoulder neck width on fold. Remember that my pattern paper is folded into 2. Alright, so first determine how off you want your off shoulder to be. So I'll be using a different color of marker so that you're not confused with all the lines. So for me, I'll be using 4.5 inches, which I am marking. And after I've marked the points, I'll join the points together to form a straight line with my ruler. So because I don't want my off shoulder to be straight, I just want to make a little design on it. So I'm coming down by 1 inch and I'll just give my off shoulder a design like this. I don't want it to be straight. So once you have sorted out how off you want your off shoulder to be and the design of off shoulder you want, so let's now impute our off shoulder neckline width. So at that area, you just go ahead to mark your 4.5 inches and you mark it, and then you get your pattern master and you join it back to your armhole. So watch closely as I join the points together. So let's go ahead to cut it out so that you can see how my neckline look like. Alright, so I've opened it up and you can see my off shoulder neck width. So no more guessing. Use this formula to determine your off shoulder neck width. So the next formula I'll be showing you is how to calculate your sleeve cap height. So to calculate your sleeve cap height, it's your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 1. My bust circumference is 33 divided by 12 plus 1, which is 2.75 plus 1, and that gives me 3.75. So let's assume your bust circumference is 36. 36 divided by 12, which is 3, then plus 1, you have 4. So I have this long sleeve pattern that I use to illustrate how to draft a perfect basic sleeve. So if you don't know how to draft your basic sleeve pattern, you can click on this link up here. So this is where you impute your sleeve cap height on your basic sleeve pattern. So let's talk about the formula to calculate your crotch depth. So the formula is basically easy. It's your hip circumference divided by 4. Alright, so for me, my hip circumference is 37 inches. So 37 divided by 4, we have 9.25 inches. But for your crotch depth, it's best to take this measurement, alright, because different body sizes, different body shapes. So it's best to take this measurement on yourself or on your client's body. But if for any reason you are struggling with incomplete measurement, then you can use this formula. Now, if your trousers is going to be below your natural waist, some people like their trousers to be low. So if your trouser is low fitting, formula for that is the hip circumference divided by 4 minus 1. So let's use my measurement. 37 divided by 4, which is 9.25 inches minus 1. So my crotch depth is going to be 8.25 inches. So now let me show you the formula to calculate your front crotch extension. This formula is very important. Very important. Alright, so pay attention. So to calculate your front crotch extension for a fitted trousers is your hip circumference divided by 20. Alright, so let's assume your hip circumference is 40. 40 divided by 20, that means your front crotch extension will be 2 inches. If your hip circumference is 38, 38 divided by 20 is 1.85. I just want to make this simple illustration so that my beginners can understand what I'm talking about. My sewing loves, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your post notification so that you'll be notified when I post a new tutorial video like this. This area where I have my arrow, that is my front crotch extension. Now, if your trousers is not fitted, so the calculation for your front crotch extension will be your hip divided by 16. So for a hip circumference of 40, that will be 40 divided by 16, and you have 2.5. I hope we understand. Alright, so let me make another example. If your hip circumference is 38, 38 divided by 16, that is 2.3125, and we can approximate that to you can approximate that to 2.5. You can either use 2.3125 or you approximate it to 2.5, and that will be your front crotch extension. So now let's work on the back crotch extension. So for the back crotch extension, it's just for you to add 1.5 or 2 inches to your front crotch extension. Please note that the front crotch extension and the back crotch extension are not the same. So if you have a small butt, you can add 1.5 to your front crotch extension, and if you have a big butt, then you add 2 inches to your front crotch extension. So if I'm working with a front crotch extension of 1.85 inches and I don't have big butt, I'll just add 1.5 to it, and then I'll get 2.35 inches as my back crotch extension. All right, and if I'm working with 2 inches as my front crotch extension and then the client has a big butt, I will add 2 inches to 2 inches, and then I will have 4 inches for my back crotch extension. So if you are looking to start sewing your own clothes at the comfort of your home, then this playlist is designed for you. It is the ultimate beginner sewing guide for everyone looking to start their sewing journey.